Prom is a good time to make memories with friends and the people you spent 4 years in high school with. An unforgettable magical night with your peers in celebration of the end of high school and the start into a new world called adulthood. But sometimes a night to remember can turn into a night you want to forget. And for these individuals, prom turned into a night of horror. Number 5. Christopher Plaskin was like any other 16-year-old student who was interested in going to prom. Like any other boy his age going to prom, he asked a girl out to accompany him. That girl's name was Maren Sanchez. She was a very talented and bright student from what her peers say. Unfortunately, she refused, which might have been a bad idea at the time. Brokenhearted, the teen went home that day with mixed emotions, most likely anger and sadness. At least that's the best emotions we could have described him with at the time, as what he did next could only describe somebody exhibiting such emotions. People at school were unaware about his mental state, but parents who found out about his rejection said he was becoming very depressed. Early in his childhood, Christopher suffered from mental illness, such as depression and anxiety, but the parents did not feel that the rejection would play a cause in what he did. On April 25, 2014, during the morning of prom, the teenage girl was in the stairwell, excited about the memorable event that was going to take place. Christopher, who was dropped off at school that morning and who appeared to be in good spirits, met up with her in those stairs. He walked up to her, pulled out a knife and began stabbing her. A student who is a witness in the case said he tried getting Christopher off her, but was unsuccessful. Maren died there hours before experiencing what most teenage girls dream of at that age. And unfortunately, the only memorable moment that was left to be remembered was her bloody body laying there with a knife covered in blood. Christopher was immediately apprehended. He is still undergoing trial, so if guilty, he can serve up to 60 years in prison. Number 4. When parents send their kids to prom, many worries come in mind, like drinking and driving, but they hope for the best for their children to make the right decisions, but never do they imagine their children to be murdered. On May 21, 2005, 17-year-old Michael Dillon was attending his prom with 16-year-old Megan Poston in Huntington, West Virginia. Later that evening, they went to a lock-in after party, but during the party, they decided to sneak out to a house 3 miles away that was rented by Dante Ward, who was enjoying a joint party with pal Edric Clark to celebrate his birthday. May 22nd at exactly 4:30 a.m., an unidentified individual opened fire and killed all 4 people. It was believed that Dante Ward was the target because of a drug relation, and the others was just there at the wrong time and at the wrong place. People nearby heard the screams, where one witness heard a victim begging for his life to be spared, but then after 2 shots were fired. The unidentified individual was never found. Number 3. Adam Sapikowski was a 16-year-old from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. In April 2005, on the weekend of his prom, Adam got into a heated argument with his parents about his grades and his girlfriend. The argument would have been a serious one for him to commit such atrocity. Enraged as he was, he grabbed a single-barrel shotgun, shot his mother twice and his father 3 times. After committing the act, Adam dragged up his parents' body behind a barricaded door in the house and cleaned up the messy scene. He then left to attend his prom. Later that night, he hosted an after-prom party at his house. He invited his friends and peers over without anybody knowing about the terrifying scene that took place. People did, however, ask Adam about the foul smell that lingered in the house. He used the excuse that some food in the refrigerator had spoiled. During the next 2 weeks, people began to question the disappearances of his parents. Police were contacted to investigate the situation. They obtained a search warrant and began searching the home. That's when they found the bodies wrapped in a blanket behind a barricaded door. Adam was arrested for the murder of his parents and is now serving a 25-year sentence in prison. Number 2. The night of June 6, 1997, an 18-year-old identified as Melissa Drexler was a normal high school girl who attended her high school prom. While driving at prom, she complained to her boyfriend about stomach pains. Later on that night, she went to the girls' washroom for a long period of time. Her friend, who was also in the washroom, had heard some strange noises and a loud bang, as if someone was falling. That's when she asked Melissa if she was alright. Melissa responded that she was fine and returned to join her boyfriend at the dance floor. While she was at the dance floor, somebody who was entering the girls' washroom noticed a very bloody stall, the one Drexler had used moments ago. The person then notified the school supervisor. Drexler was questioned about the bloody stall. She began explaining that she was experiencing heavy menstrual flow. However, a janitor who was working at the school, as he was disposing trash in a garbage compartment, he discovered something odd. a body of a dead newborn child wrapped in a plastic bag. When Melissa was confronted, she explained that she gave birth to a dead child and figured that since it wasn't alive, putting him in a plastic bag and throwing it into a garbage compartment was the best she could do. An autopsy was conducted on the newborn, and it showed the opposite of what she had claimed the newborn to be. In fact, the baby was perfectly healthy. It also showed that the baby was choked to death. Somehow she was able to hide her pregnancy from everyone at school, including her family. She was charged with murder and was supposed to serve 15 years. Instead, she was released on parole and only served 36 months. Number 1. Deborah Means and Michael Morris were a couple who lived in Mascoutah, Illinois. Deborah Means was 15 years old and her boyfriend Michael was 18 years old. On May 3, 1969, the two attended the prom together. They went out for dinner and enjoyed each other's company along with friends. That night, they decided to end their fun at a swimming party. They departed the party at 2:30 a.m. However, the couple did not return home that morning. Right away, parents knew something was up. They contacted search and rescue. The search went on for about 2 nights until their bodies were found near a mine on May 5th. Guessing that the traces on the car and possibly tire marks on the grass led to conclude that their car was forced off-road into a secluded area. The 2 bodies were found in the car, where the 18-year-old still had his tuxedo on, and as for the girl, she was found bound and naked. The autopsy report showed Michael with signs of trauma in the back of his head, possibly from blunt force or a bullet. As for the girl, she appeared to have been raped. Marks around her neck suggested that she was strangled to death. Police were determined to find the culprit, which led to William Nickerson, who was already wanted for rape. He fled the area before he could be apprehended. Several decades later, in 1992, William was charged with the kidnapping and raping of 2 15-year-olds. He was 63 years old at the time. He fled again. Up till this day, his whereabouts remain unknown. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the links to watch our previous videos, and take care.